good morning, and welcome to VSA Capital 5-Minute Morning Miner on Tuesday the 29th. It's another hot sunny day out there. Not a lot of news. And of course, if you're in Spain or Portugal, who switched the lights out? Who? That was the dogs. But anyway, there's my little song for the day. Who switched the lights out? Quite extraordinary, wasn't it, Paul? All that power going down just shows what happens. Although what is interesting is their airports kept going because the airports had backup power. The only problem was, of course, you couldn't get to the airport because the trains and all of that and the traffic lights were all down. But at least the airports kept going, unlike in Heathrow.
Well, they could land flights, but they couldn't take them off because otherwise they couldn't issue tickets.
Well, actually, they were. I mean, funny enough, they were taking off. The only ones that were actually really struggling were the UK ones because the UK had their own issues flying in and out of Spain. But anyway, I just thought it was very, very interesting. It shows you need backup power. Backup power is renewable power, which means critical metals. Oh, we love bringing everything around to critical metals. Now, let's go to something else that we love. And we haven't talked about it for a little while. We had actually some really good quarterly production numbers from Guanajuato Silver. I do love a bit of Mexican gold and silver. I'm going out there in August to visit a whole load of the mines because this is an area where I think you can make a lot of money. But Paul, talk us through the Guanajuato Silver quarterlies.
Yeah, I will do. And they also had a separate press release out as well that they had discovered and will develop a vein which is between the Purísima and Santo Niño main veins at their San Ignacio mine, which is high grade and about 2 meters of width. So that's very good news too for added mine production going into following quarters. But in this latest quarterly statement, they came out with positive operating income of $2.6 million, which is a 416% improvement quarter on quarter. And it's their third consecutive positive mine operating income. Revenue in total for the quarter was $19 million, which was a 4% improvement on a year-on-year basis and represents a 15% increase quarter or on a yearly from Q4 of 2023. Production 730,500 ounces silver equivalent. And they did during the quarter as well make an adjustment to their credit facility such that the payment terms are a little bit more flexible for them in their production statements. So operating costs otherwise came in at $19.84 per silver equivalent ounce, and all-in sustaining cost was at $24.98. So those are higher costs, but still nice to see the positive production statement and the revenues. They're back in the plus column. That's the good news. And they realized when we talked to them at PDAC that they had to do that for investor confidence.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's worth just mentioning whilst we're on a Mexican silver and gold. Obviously, the flagship one that we all know is Fresnillo in the FTSE 100, which has actually recently had a pretty good run, so it should because of the way the gold and silver price has been going. But, here we are at about £10. Back in 2012, back in 2017, it was at £20. So there is plenty of upside if you just want to play Fresnillo in the FTSE 100. It's obviously a lot safer than perhaps playing some of the smaller ones, not as geared or doesn't have the same upside potential probably as production gets going. The other two companies, by the way, that I'm going to be visiting are Sierra Madre gold and silver. Actually, Ollie, our analyst, is going out there next month as well because that is really starting to get into production and looks interesting. And then finally, the other one I'm seeing is Avino gold and silver. So those three to watch. There are others out there, but they're not going to get as loud as shout out because they're not taking me on my trip. But there you go. What else, Paul, today?
Yeah, a really significant statement out here from Pivotal Metals, the Pivotal being the explorer for copper and nickel up in northern Quebec. Significant increase on their Horden Lake copper nickel project there in total resource. The Horden Lake has grown to 38 million tons of 1.1% copper equivalent. of which 341,000 tons is in a single pit shell for a 43% interest. And again, that's a pit with a grade of 1.1% copper. And total in-pit copper is now over 200,000 tons contained copper. And there is substantial byproduct credits as well as I mentioned, nickel, gold, palladium, and platinum. When this Horton Lake deposit was last explored by a major, it was over 20 years ago, and they did not assay for the precious metals. And as you can see, there is a significant precious metal component which will come through to the revenue line for Pivotal as they put this toward development. It is big enough for development, and the good news is though it is in northern Quebec, it is very close to a road, so that is a key logistical issue that it does not otherwise have to surmount.
We love it when a mine is close to a road. But again, just throwing it in, that's one of the reasons why I love Cornish mining so much. All of them are close to a road. All of them are close to a railway. All of them are close to a port. All of them have a safe, it is relatively safe, the UK, political landscape. No question that Cornish mining stock should be at a massive premium in a way for all of those reasons. But anyway, that was a slight red herring. Any other news, Paul?
Yeah, same quoted Xtract Resources. Got to keep an eye closer on this Colin Bird stock here as their first three holes on their Silver King project in the Mumbwa district of Zambia have come up with extensive widths of high-grade copper here. Numbers like 4% copper and 42 grams silver over almost 30 meters, or 3% copper and 40 grams over 54 meters. And this with all within 100 meters of depth. That was just a three-hole program, being the little tiddler that Xtract Resources is, but I can assure you that there's going to be further drilling program, and somebody is going to, among the majors, is going to be following this even more closely.
Been a while since we talked about Colin Bird, actually, and seen him as well, Paul. He obviously was one of the sort of big junior mining entrepreneurs back in the day. Maybe it's time we got him into the offices and had a chat with him.
Yes.
All right, on that, that'll do for today, I think, Paul. We'll be back tomorrow, I think. Cool.
Very good. See you then.
This podcast has been produced and edited by VSA Capital. It is intended for information purposes and not as investment advice. The information is intended for recipients who understand the risks associated with equity investments in smaller companies. Please do your own research and do not rely on a single source when making an investment decision. VSA Capital may derive fees from this content and seeks to do business with the companies mentioned.